What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing you me top 25 albums of 2022 video. Now, first and foremost, I just want to quickly address something, and that is, I want to say thank you to everyone who has supported my channel this year. I know I took a bit of a hiatus at the start of the year and towards the end of last year just to like rekindle myself and stuff like that, and I really appreciate your patience with us and the support since I've come back to YouTube has been epic, and I really want to thank you all for that and for checking out my reviews that I've done this year. I'm really happy with what I've done this year, but the strenuous part had to come towards the end of the year, and that is my top albums of the year video. This has took quite a while to sort out. I've been trying to sort it out over the past couple of months, like getting it a little bit more closer to what I best represent 2022 from my eyes and my ears. So what we have today, we're going to dissect it. We're going to do my top single of the year, which I didn't do last year because it was in my top albums, but figuratively, my top EPs of the year, and also 3 Super Metal Honourable recommendations, and then we're going to dissect the top 25 albums of the year. So should we get straight on with it? Why not? Make yourselves a cuppa, get some food, get some popcorn even for all I care, spark up a joint, whatever. This one's going to be a long video, but we're going to get through it. So we're going to kick things off with my top single of the year, and that has to go to We Came As Romans and Brand of Sacrifice with their collaboration track Dark Bloom Reimagined. Like, I will say, the We Came As Romans Dark Bloom track is actually incredible in itself, but with Brand of Sacrifice's influence and take on the song, collaborating with We Came As Romans, it was just something just menacingly heavy and just brought a new aspect to the and dynamic to the overall song. And don't even get me started on that fucking breakdown at the end, because that is easily one of the most savage breakdowns I've heard in 2022. It's up there with Exodus by Brand of Sacrifice, but they know how to bring the filth, and they added it to that track, but still had that catchy, memorable hook from the original song, and I absolutely love it. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Now, I've got 7 EPs that I want to talk about today, because I felt like, you know, I was going to narrow it down to a top 5, but I really wanted to talk about these releases, and why not? It's my video, it's not yours, so if you have a problem with it. So, coming in at number 7, we have Harbinger with A Letter to Anguish. Now, Harbinger, I've been following these guys for quite a while now, and their last album, their debut album, was fucking incredible. Riffs for days and just incredible stuff. And then the band's had a bit of a lineup change, and now they've got Dylan on vocals. I was really hyped because I loved his work when he was in Next Silver, and to see him in this band is just absolutely incredible as well. He's pushed his capabilities and his overall tone on this release, and Harbinger have done so themselves. Still got the epic riffs that you can headbang along to, but it's still got that technicality and that intensity, but it's just got more hooks on it and just more memorableness. I absolutely love this release. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Coming in at number 6, we have Cairnhill with Crew de la Mort Volume 2. Now, Volume 1 was a good EP, but in my opinion, it just didn't connect with us as much as, say, their albums did beforehand. But the second half, I absolutely loved this release. Like, there was one song on it, I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but has been on repeat so much over the past year, and I absolutely love this release. Make sure you check it out, and I hope that in 2023 we get a new album from these guys, because they're so fucking good. And you knew this one was going to be in there. At number 5, we have Spirit Box with Rotoscope, I believe how it's pronounced. Yeah, you know, I absolutely love The Eternal Blue. It's one of my favourite albums from last year, 2021, that is. But yeah, this EP is a great continuation and shows that Spirit Box are still continuing to write some absolute bangers. And this EP, even though it's very short, it still has the Spirit Box atmosphere and vibe, and you just connect with it instantly. They're just such a likeable band, and I'm hoping I get to see them live in 2023, because I know they're doing a UK tour, but I just need to see them and hear these tracks live, even from the album. But make sure you check out this EP. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Coming in at number 4, we have KUBLAI TX, as you know them by nowadays, with Lowest Form of Animal. KUBLAI are becoming an absolute powerhouse in hardcore, and quite rightly so, and this EP definitely shows them, and this, in my opinion, is one of the most thickest and juiciest sounding hardcore releases of 2022. I absolutely love it, especially the first track that they dropped with Scott of Terror on there. It is just an absolute banger. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Excellent stuff. Next up, we're going to go with some local talent with Done In with their debut EP entitled Senseless. Blackened hardcore, and my god, this EP rips so fucking hard. It actually sounds so grim and demented, and just packs an absolute punch. It just felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, I personally haven't heard the term blackened hardcore before, but if it sounds anything like this, I'm all for it. I absolutely love this release. I listened to it so much this year. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check them out. They are going to cause some waves in 2023 for sure. Coming in at number 2, we have Left to Suffer with Undying Forever. Now, Left to Suffer are a band that I've definitely loved in 2022. Like, this EP has been on repeat, and so has their other releases, but mainly this EP, because it is one of the most heaviest and most crushing deathcore releases of 2022. Like, some people call it, I've heard it described as new metalcore, deathcore, down-tempo, hardcore. I've heard so many labels put onto this, but what it is fucking incredible. Whether it's got a genre tag to it, it is just absolutely menacing and heavy as fuck. And these guys are they're gonna conquer the world with this release. And I'm hoping next year we'll get some more material, because this is absolutely fucking amazing. And then at number 1, I'm going to give it some local talent, because this EP is so fucking good. It's only 3 tracks, but those 3 tracks, oh, just incredible. And that is Rituals with their second EP entitled Show Me the Signs. This EP, I absolutely loved their last EP. As you know, last year, I believe it's called Awake. Absolutely loved that EP. And then we get another release in 2022 called Show Me the Signs. And it's only 3 tracks, but man alive, these tracks, I listened to these so much this year. I absolutely loved every single one of them. They've all got their own little characteristics. Like, there's one that's heavy, that's more, there's another one that's like more of a sing-along song. And, you know, it's just Rituals doing absolute riffs and absolute incredible metalcore. So if you're into bands like Beartooth, for example, or While She Sleeps, this is definitely a band that you need to watch in 2023, guaranteed. And now we get to the Super Metal Honourable Recommendations. I'm surprised I said that correctly straight away there. So, yeah, let's get on with it. We have 3 releases to talk about today. And the first one is Celestia with Assassin, or Assassins, should we say. This release really surprised me, because I checked out this band when they got announced for Damnation's like pre-show. And I thought, oh, I'll check them out, check out their older release, because their new album hadn't come out. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, that's pretty cool. But this album, wow, this really surprised me so much. It's like, it's blackened, it's progressive, it's intense, it's groovy, but it also packs a massive punch that's like it kind of feels in some odd ways like a blackened Gojira in a way, in some elements, but just the overall demented atmosphere just really captivated us and made us keep on going back to this release. And even though it didn't make me top 25, it's still a memorable release of this year, and definitely worthy of a recommendation in this video. And next up, we're going to have Angel Maker with Sanctum. This release was scattered throughout the year. We had like a couple of, I think it was 4 EPs in total, with a couple of tracks on each of them. And you knew it was going to amount to something, whether it be a compilation. People can consider this a compilation. I don't really, because it was a tease up for the album. And when Sanctum came out, I fell in love with this album. Like, this is Angel Maker. Like, the last album, self-titled, I wasn't really all that captivated by it. I thought it was good, but it just didn't have a lot of memorable hooks and memorable moments throughout. It just felt like another deathcore release. Whereas this one, they've added to the overall sound, added some more black metal elements and more atmosphere to the overall sound, but it still has that Angel Maker heavy pounding deathcore that we absolutely love. And this release is definitely their strongest release to date, and it's pushing them into a new light, if you ask me, and definitely rightly so, because this is an incredible album. And the final recommendation I'm going to tell you about is Lionheart with Welcome to the West Coast 3. Now, this one came out towards the end of the year, like, I think it was like late November, early December, and I wish it'd come out a little bit earlier, because this would have been in the top albums for sure, because this is, I absolutely adore Lionheart. Like, their last album, Valley of Death, was in my top albums of the year it came out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they became quite quickly one of my favourite hardcore bands, and bands that I really like a go-to band in that genre. And this album is now become my go-to album in hardcore. Like, I absolutely love this. It's heavy as fuck. It just sounds more chunkier, more meatier, but it still packs a massive message behind it and has a lot of meaning behind it, and I absolutely love it, and I absolutely love Lionheart. And this is definitely, in my opinion, like, looking at their discography or thinking about their discography, this is my favourite album of these guys. Absolutely love it. Make sure you check it out. It's fucking incredible. And I will say also that last track on the album with Alex from Malevolence, oh god, that is easily one of the most pounding breakdowns I think I've heard this year. And speaking of this year, now we get to the end. This is the top 25 albums of 2022 for me. There's a lot of albums that could have made this list, but these albums are, in my opinion, the ones that I listen to the most, the ones I got enjoyment out the most, and I feel like this is a solid list to go by. So, as usual, this is my list, not yours. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. Everyone's got their own list. So, by all means, leave a comment down below of your top 3 or even top album of 2022. I always like to check out, because there's always one album that I'm like, oh, I didn't actually check that one out. So yeah, I'm always down to check out new music. So anyway, let's crack on with it. Coming in at number 25, we have Exist Immortal with Self-Titled. Exist Immortal, I've loved this band for so fucking long and always admired what they put out. Their last album was absolutely incredible, and their 3-part EP that they brought out earlier this year or end of last year, that's 2021 by the way, I'll get there, it's the start of the year, you know, but it was absolutely incredible. And then they dropped another album this year, or another release this year, and it was a self-titled album. And since I did the review, I've listened to this album so much, and it's just one of those albums that, in my opinion, classes as an absolute masterpiece. Like, these guys know how to write the best progressive metalcore in the UK, if you ask me. I absolutely love this album. It's got more memorable hooks, it's more catchy, but it's still a really fun album to listen to, and it still has the riffs and catchy factor. Get on this album, it's absolutely incredible, and massive love to the guys when I saw them live. They absolutely owned it. Absolutely love the guys. Anyway, coming in at number 24, we have Awake in Providence with Eternity. Now, Awake in Providence, I absolutely love this band and have done for many, many years. Me and my bassist absolutely love their last album, Black Sun, Blood Moon, I believe it's called. And when they got announced that they signed to Unique Leader Records, I was really excited. And then when I got the promo for this album, I stuck it straight on, and I knew instantly that we had entered a new realm with Awake in Providence, because this band has added more elements to their overall incredible, massive sound. Like, their last album, the sound was absolutely fucking massive. But this one, they've added more symphonic elements, more melodic passages in there, but also added this really demented, dark atmosphere, as if monolithic sound, like overall sound on top of what they already had to make this gigantic monstrosity that is Eternity. Like, this album just packs a punch. It's still got the crushing, like soul crushing breakdowns and riffs in there and the demented vocals, but it just has this just charismatic sort of feel to it, and it's just absolutely incredible, and I absolutely love this record. And make sure you check it out, because these guys, I haven't seen an awful lot of people talking about this, but I think more people need to be checking out this album, because it's fucking incredible, if you ask me. Coming in at number 23, we have Revocation with Netherheaven. Yeah, Revocation, last year, a couple of years back, they released the Outer Ones, and that was an absolutely incredible release in itself, and they have an absolutely flawless discography. But this album, for me, has a little bit of a different character to it. I feel like this album, like I said in my review, has a bit more of a darker, more grittier, more straight up death metal feel to it, but it still has that experimental sort of unique sound and character to it that only Dave Davison knows how to do. His songwriting is absolutely incredible. Like, he has took up all the songwriting duties on this album, and you can feel it in the overall sound of it, but it just seems more heavier and more diabolical in an essence. Like, even the artwork itself as a representation, like compared to the other ones, like, it does feel like a straight up more death metal record, but it still has that Revocation sound and that Revocation feel that you can just headbang along to it and just enjoy what you're hearing. Revocation are unstoppable, in my opinion, just with their combination of death metal and thrash metal and technicality and progressive elements. It's just something to behold, man. It's another masterpiece from this year. Absolutely incredible. Check it out if you haven't already. Coming in at number 22, we have Shadow of Intent with Elegy. Now, Shadow of Intent have grown their sound over the past couple of years. Like, from Primordial and Reclaimer being more of a straight symphonic deathcore sort of release, I would say Melancholy and this one are more death metal oriented, and they've really matured their sound and moved away from breakdowns and stuff like that, whereas there's not a lot of breakdowns on this album. There is the odd few on there for good measure, but it is still Shadow of Intent sounding absolutely incredible, from the symphonic elements to the absolutely mind-blowing guitar writing, the intense drum work, and then Ben's vocal work. What? Like, he is an absolute menace as a an extreme metal vocalist, and one of my favourites in the whole metal genre. Like, his range and just tone is just there every single time, and this album definitely represents Shadow of Intent as they grow to become an absolute dominant force in the metal genre, and quite rightly so. This is fucking incredible. And also, I will obviously point out those guest spots. Phil Bozeman, kind of expected that, but Chuck Billy, no one saw that coming, but it really fucking works, and I absolutely admire this album. It's fucking incredible. Make sure you check it out, and I'm so looking forward to seeing these guys in, I think it's next week with To The Grave, Angel Maker, and Enterprise Earth. It's going to be incredible. Alright, coming in at number 21, we have Worm Shepherd with Ritual Hymns. Worm Shepherd, their last album, I did enjoy it, but it wasn't wow to me. Like, it just felt like, I don't even know, I just didn't click with it all that much, and I was expecting when they announced they were bringing out another album, I was like, it might be the same. I'm still going to check it out. I'm still probably going to have it on my phone. Let's go. And this album, to me, really surpassed every expectation that I had for it, in the sense that I felt like this album definitely showcases Worm Shepherd at a much stronger level, and the song structures and the overall flow of the songs and the album itself just feels a lot more fluent, and just the overall atmosphere from the disgusting, and I mean fucking disgusting breakdowns on here, but the black metal elements really have a more sense of atmosphere than a lot of albums that have had in this genre in 2022. Like, black and deathcore has become an absolute array from the likes of Lorna Shore and Worm Shepherd and a bunch of other bands leading the charge, shall we say. But I feel like Worm Shepherd, when it comes to atmosphere, have nailed it. The atmosphere of black metal on this record. Absolutely incredible. And some really sick, twisted, and just filthy vocals. It's absolutely incredible. Make sure you check out this album. Fucking incredible stuff. Alright, coming in at number 20, we have another hardcore album. And this one, a few people knew was going to be on this list. And that is Get the Shot with Merciless Destruction. Oh my god. Get the Shot, their last album, Infinite Punishment, as I said in my review, was a go-to album when it come to hardcore, when I just wanted some aggression and just riffs for days. Like, hardcore, I'm more of a more modern hardcore, where it's got a little bit more of a metalcore influence. For example, I'm not really massive on traditional hardcore, but this album, man, I can't get over how fucking good and catchy this album is. Like, the last album, Infinite Punishment, had that factor, and this one just continues in that vein, but just packs more of a punch, and it just sounds all that more mightier. It just sounds thicker and more chunkier, and it just adds to the overall heaviness that this record has. And it has a bit of a Raju factor in the vocals, but I really, really like that. I really, really dig it. And honestly, I love this album, and I've recommended so many people this album, and you should check it out as well. It's absolutely incredible. And by the way, as usual, there'll be links down below of where you can check out a track or two, or even a full album stream of my top album list, so make sure you check that out. Fucking incredible stuff. Coming in at number 19, we have The Gloom in the Corner with Trinity. Now, this album, I'm not going to lie, surprised me in a way. Like, I haven't stayed quite up to date as much as I'd wanted to with this band, but, like, because I loved their debut release, the Cream one that they brought out. Absolutely loved that one, but never actually stuck with them after that. And then for some reason, with the guest spots, I was drawn to this album to check it out, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go one day when I was going out for a drive. And I didn't expect how fucking massive and just how crazy this album sounds. Like, it's heavy, it's catchy, but it also has this sort of like cinematic sort of movie experience when you listen to it. Like, the flow of it kind of, it really actually reminds us of Ice Nine Kills in their kind of like storytelling, like flows, song to song. It really has that sort of atmosphere, but it is 10 times heavier than Ice Nine Kills. Like, I love Ice Nine Kills, as you know, but honestly, it's heavy as fuck. But it also has these memorable, catchy, like, memorable choruses that just you find yourself singing along to, like, after you've listened to the album, or even just when you're pondering around, you'll just click onto a lyric, you know, that you've heard on this album, and you're just like, what's that from? And then you'll remember it's The Gloom in the Corner, because this is such a memorable sounding album, but it is heavy as fucking balls. I absolutely love this record. Make sure you check it out if you want a really interesting experience when it comes to metalcore or new metalcore in 2022. It definitely stands out amongst the crowd, shall we say. Coming in at number 18 is, in my opinion, just looking at the list, yeah, I would say this was the return album of 2022 for me. And that is And Hell Followed with Quintus? Yeah, I'm no good at pronunciation, as you know. But yeah, these guys, I've been listening to them since the MySpace days with their first album being an absolute classic and a must-have in the MySpace deathcore. And their comeback EP, it was good, but it didn't wow us in any way, personally. But this album, man, I listened to this so much this year. Like, deathcore has really took over 2022, and it would be the genre of 2022 for me. But this album was definitely one of the more memorable ones, and one of the ones that a highlight, I would say, because this is not And Hell Follows With from the same sort of realm, like that sort of sound. This is a more lower tuned, more chunkier, but it still has some memorable, like, metalcore, melodic deathcore sort of melodies in there. But it just shows them taking their incredible sound and reputation, but modernising it and pushing their envelope. And I know the vocalist, I believe it's the vocalist from Crown Magnetar, who was on this release. I know he's parted ways with the band now, but his vocal delivery, it just shows a little bit more of a modern contrast on there and just adds a little bit more of a intenser atmosphere on there, but it still sounds like End Hell Followed With and still has that atmosphere, because listening to the two together, or simultaneously should we say, you get the sense there is the same fucking band. Like, there's a couple of bands that come back and reinvent themselves, but this is just them reviving themselves in a modern sort of way, and it really works for them. I absolutely love this record, so make sure you check it out. Coming in at number 17, we have Bonecarver with Carnage Funeral. Another band that I honestly wasn't massively keen on their debut release. It was good, it was heavy, it was brutal, but that was it. It wasn't really any standout tracks. It just felt like another deathcore release, or brutal deathcore release. Whereas this one, holy shit, like this one added more, surprise, surprise, some more blackened elements and more darker symphonics on top of it to create this really, I kind of would say it's like Angel Maker, but thicker and beefier than Sanctum was, in my opinion. Like, this is absolutely incredible. Like, I absolutely love this record. Like, I've listened to it so much, and I feel like it is a very underrated release of 2022, because I've seen like maybe 2 or 3 people talking about it, and that is criminal if you ask me, because this is a fucking amazing release and I absolutely love it. Make sure you check it out, and I'm so excited to see these guys in Newcastle on the Unique Legion tour, I think it's called, with Vulvodynia, Last 10 Seconds Alive, and Bound in Fear. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a messy pit. I can't wait. Anyway, coming in at number 16, we have Gutrectomy with Manifestation of Human Suffering. And I would honestly say, like, I really do like Gutrectomy, but they're not a band that I do come back to a lot. Like, the Slam Ocalypse, I believe it was called, something like that, the bluey green one. I came back to that one a little bit, but their EP, they followed maybe 1 or 2 listens. But this album, oh, this one, oh man, it's so fucking heavy, man. Like this is a pummeling, slamming, brutal deathcore release, and nothing more than that. It's just there to pound you into the fucking ground. There's a lot of slamming, brutal deathcore that has come out this year that's been like, ooh, just hit that sweet spot, and this one was definitely one of them. And I did like to listen to this album along with another one, which we'll get to in a second, but if you want just straight slamming brutality, Gutrectomy, Manifestations of Human Suffering is just a Condemned to Suffer. Just that, listen to that song. It's heavy. Anyway, coming in at number 15, oh god. This is easily the ragiest sounding album, and when I say raggy, I mean it's just crazy and demented and just crazy as fuck. And angry. There is no other word that describes it other than angry and just demented. And that is Paleface with Fear and Dagger. Their last album, I absolutely adored it because of how ratchy and just over the top it was. Whereas this one, I feel like it's just the continuation of it, and it just sounds even more crazy and even more angry. Like, I've never heard such angry vocals in me fucking life. Like, this just sounds like pure animosity and adrenaline just in those vocals. It's just rage as fuck, man. But even on top or behind that is some of the most heaviest and crushing brutal deathcore, beatdown, hardcore you can just muster in 2022. Like, this is easily one of the most energetic albums of 2022, if you ask me. I absolutely love this release, and make sure you check it out. And I hopefully will be seeing these guys with, I believe it's Dying Wish, Paleface, Kublai Khan, and Counterparts next year. So hopefully I get to see that tour. But these were on Fall in the Brawl, if my memory serves, and they were absolutely incredible then. So I'm hoping to see them again. So make sure you check it out. It's fucking incredible. Coming in at number 14 is the album that I said I usually listen to with Good Wreck to Me, and that is Arcranius with Mercy Denied. Another band I saw in 2022 that really highlighted why I loved this album this year. This album, to me anyway, shows the band pushing their envelope by adding another vocalist who's got a different tonality, but also contrast and dynamic wise really works to push the band into a new sort of sound. Like their last album was absolutely incredible, which I believe was called Reign of Terror, I believe, if my memory serves. Is it near as... Yeah, Reign of Terror. Yeah, absolutely loved that release, but Mercy Denied, adding the vocalist, the former vocalist of Signs of Sleep, I believe it is, adding his vocals along with the more gut-wrenching vocals on top of that, with the straight-up deathcore vocals, but still keeping it slammy, still keeping it pounding, just really pushes them into a new light. And I absolutely love this album, and I believe I can't say it without, you know, this is my favourite Arcranius album. I absolutely love this, and I listen to it so much in 2022, and you will as well if you haven't already. It's heavy as fuck. And that guest spot from Disfigure and the Goddess, 3 vocalists in one. What more could you want? My nose is getting pretty itchy, fucking hell. Anyway, coming in at number 13, we have me boys in Boz with Fury of Pagana. This album, oh God, I am so proud of these boys, but this album is an absolute riff. It's a riff dream right here. Like, it's got so much going for it. The riffs, the heaviness, the catchiness, the hooks, it's all there, but it is just a pounder of a record. It's just so fun to enjoy. Like, listening to Crowbar's new album was absolutely incredible in itself, but when I thought of riffs, I honestly didn't think of that Crowbar album. I thought of Fury of Pagana by Boz. Like, this album is... It makes me so proud to be a Northeast metalhead and a member of the Northeast metal and core community, because this album and this band is just... I'll absolutely love this album. This album, in my opinion, is royalty in the Northeast scene, because everyone knows them, everyone just respects them, and also everyone knows this album fucking riffs. And if you're from this community and you don't know Boz, get on this shit. It's just fucking incredible. And for those who have never heard of Boz, check them out. Links down below. Absolutely love these guys and absolutely love this album. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Coming in at number 12, we have, I've already mentioned it before, but we've got We Came As Romans with Dark Bloom. Now, this is a comeback album that I was kind of nervous about listening to be honest, because in all honesty, like, when they lost Kyle, I didn't know how the band was going to take off in the future. But the singles leading up to this album, I was happy that they were still continuing and doing a legacy for Kyle and, you know, in memory of him. And this, in my opinion, makes me so proud of the guys. And this album is going to become my favourite We Came As Romans album. I absolutely love this. Every time I listen to it, I'm singing along to it and just in wow, because this is easily their catchiest album and also their heaviest album. And obviously, you know I like it heavy. So, you know, I'm going to love this record, but I honestly love it everywhere. The songs, the performance, just the overall sound, it's just all there for We Came As Romans. And I absolutely love this record. Make sure you check it out. If you're into post-hardcore or metalcore, this is definitely an album that you need to check out. And then coming in at number 11, we have my favourite Slam Boys with Ingested with Ashes Lie Still. Now, I'm not going to lie, where Only Gods May Tread, I've listened to it only a handful of times since my top albums video of that year. And it is still a solid as fuck album. But honestly, since I've got this album as a promo and now I've got it on CD, this has grown to become one of my favourite and go-to Ingested albums. I think this has pushed Ingested into a new league. Like, they're now going forth as a 3-piece with Jay, Sean and Lynn. And you can tell in the songwriting, like, it's a lot more straightforward, it's a lot more fluid in its overall delivery, but it is pushing them. They're another band that's kind of like Shadow of Intent, that's easing away from like breakdowns and stuff and going for a more straight up death metal sort of sound, but they have got the lower, groovier elements of deathcore and the lower tune stuff just to give it a bit more of a groove metal sort of feel to it. But overall, the songs just flow a little bit more nicer on this record, and the overall feel of the record just feels a little bit more thicker and more beefier, and it just has a lot more memorableness to it, if you ask me. And I absolutely love Ingested. They are still my favourite band of all times, and this album definitely highlights it and shows what Ingested are aiming for in the upcoming future. So make sure you check it out. It's fucking incredible stuff, if you ask me. Coming in at number 10, now this album honestly really surprised me, and that is Lost Society with If the Sky Came Down. Now, Lost Society, I thought, honestly, was still a thrash band. Like, I thought they were like just a traditional thrash band. Even when I saw them with Exodus, I thought that sort of thing was still going. But it turns out they changed up their sound and gone for a more modern metalcore sort of sound to it. But honestly, I absolutely love this record, and I was so surprised by it. I was like, this is Lost Society now. And I went and checked out the album before, and I really liked that one, but I just kept on coming back to this album throughout, like, towards the end of the year, when I came quite late to the party with this album, I'm not going to lie. But I've been listening to it so much, and it's just grown to become one of my favourite metalcore records of this year. In fact, to some extent, this could be my favourite metalcore record of this year. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. If you're into metalcore, definitely check it out. And if you were like me and thought it was still thrash, and that's not your thing, check them out if you're into metalcore. It might be your thing. I really enjoyed it. Alright. Coming in at number 9, easily the most fun record of 2022. And that is Pint Glass with Blood, Sweat and Stella. Honestly, like, for a band like this, you would think that I wouldn't be able to take them seriously, and they would just be, just confined to like the lower half of the top album because of that. But honestly, I couldn't stop laughing and just vibing with this album when I heard it. And the more I listen to it, the more I find that I just love the record in general. Just the overall vibes of like being a geezer in the UK, but also the beat down heavy elements. It's just simple, fun. There's nothing too serious about it, but I absolutely love that factor to it. It just makes us smile. I mean, Tarzan of the Boozer is easily one of my favourite songs of the year. Just hear this album, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. It's just absolutely incredible. Much love to Pint Glass. Absolutely love them, and I hope I get to see them live again, because I saw them with Vulvodynia and it was just incredible. Coming in at number 8, it's got to go to me boys in Suffer with The Sorrow We Sow, The Hatred We Know. This was going to be on the list regardless, but it's ended up being so high because honestly I did listen to this album so fucking much this year, but it might have a little bit of sentiment behind it because these guys took us out on our first tour. Yeah, it was only a weekender, but we are so grateful for the guys, and to see them perform songs from this in Wolverhampton, Manchester and Newcastle, it was just an honour, and they are one of the most heaviest bands in the UK right now. And this album is just an absolute deathcore, beatdown, brutal deathcore, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to say a deathcore masterpiece in 2022, if you ask me. I love this record. I think this is a heavy as fuck record, and it's just there just to be heavy, crushing, and just take no prisoners, and quite rightly so. It does just that. Absolutely incredible stuff, and I hope that in 2023 we get to share the stage more, because they are one of the best bands in the UK, if you ask me. Coming in at number 7, we have Bloody Wood with Rakshak. I've probably butchered the living shit out of that, and I do apologise. But Bloody Wood have been making waves this year, without a shadow of a doubt. And especially seeing them at Bloodstock, I can see why. But honestly, this album has been on repeat so much this year. The cross of like metalcore, groove metal sort of stuff, alternative metal with Indian traditional music. it just really fucking works. And it kind of has a bit of a gen sort of feel to it. But in general, the overall songs are just so fucking memorable. Like, you are humming these songs left, right and centre. And honestly, I love this record. And singing them at Bloodstock, we arrived quite late on the Thursday night. So when we got set up on the Friday, once we got set up, we just went straight to the arena and saw Bloodywood. And it was an absolute party and a half. And I absolutely loved their performance. And after Bloodstock, I couldn't stop listening to this record. It's fucking incredible, and it deserves to be on this list and everyone's list. Absolutely love it. Coming in at number 6, one of the very few albums I gave a 10 out of 10. But still, the top 6 all could be 10 out of 10s, but we'll get there in a second. Coming in at number 6, we have Spite with Dedication to Flesh. Spite have become one of my favourite deathcore bands, and this album is the perfect representation of Spite as a whole. Like, I love The Root of All Evil and the other album, Nothing Is Beautiful, I think it's called. I could be wrong, the white one. But yeah, I absolutely love their discography, and this album is definitely my favourite of theirs. Like, this record is just pummeling deathcore, just straight to the point, heavy as fuck, and just takes no prisoners. Like, and also I will say, Darius is another one of my favourite vocalists in metal right now. Just his range and tone is just there and just sounds pissed off and aggressive. It's just as aggressive, in my opinion, as Paleface. Just, it's that mid-range, it's that sexy mid-range that he's got. It just sounds so angry and filled with so much animosity. I absolutely love it. So make sure you check out this album and check out my review if you haven't already. And now we arrive at the top 5 albums, and I've got them on CD right here. And we're going to count them down together. And some of these you might not be surprised of, some of them you might be, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, here we go. Coming in at number 5, we have Lorna Shore with Pain Remains. Yous knew this album was going to be in my fucking list. Yous knew it's just where it was going to be. And it's ranked at number 5, but honestly, don't let that take away from that it's not as good as the other albums in general. It's just as good. But Lorna Shore gave us an absolutely incredible EP in 2021. And I Return to Nothingness. I still listen to that on repeat. But Pain Remains is the deathcore album of 2022. No one on this fucking earth can argue with that, because they are, like, yeah, you've got your Thy Art Is Murder, you've got your Whitechapel, they are huge. But Lorna Shore has, in my opinion, surpassed them. They are massive at the moment, and quite rightly so because of this album. This is a fucking masterpiece from beginning to end. Like, honestly, I'm going to be honest, after my review I did with Tom from Casting Tephra, I kind of felt a little bit like, is it really that good of a 10 out of 10 album? And I gave it like a little break and then came back and I was like, yeah, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 album. I absolutely love this record from beginning to end, especially the Pain Remains trilogy. It's a deathcore fucking ballad, a blackened deathcore fucking ballad over 3 tracks. It's only Lorna Shore could fucking do that and pull off such an amazing goosebump record. And this is a fucking incredible record. Make sure you check this shit out. It's fucking incredible. I'd be surprised if you haven't listened to it. I know there's a few people that think they're overrated and stuff. I don't care. I love this record. Yeah. Alright. Coming in at number 4, we have some black metal. Yep, I wasn't going to ignore it, but this is my favourite black metal record of the year. And that is Blood Countess with Occulta Tenebris. Yeah. Blood Countess blew me mind a few years back when they released a 3-track EP demo that I was expecting to sound like absolute fucking shit, just necro as fucking just shit, really. Like, nothing against the band, it's just the genre, it can happen all the time, especially demo sort of stuff. But I loved that EP and I had it on repeat so fucking much. And then in 2022, we get a full-length album, and I believe this came out right at the start of the year as well. And since then, this has stayed within the top 5 albums of the year. And I think this record is a black metal masterpiece, like an absolute masterpiece and a perfect album when it comes to black metal. Like, this is a go-to record for me when it comes to the genre. Like, it's incredible. Just the atmosphere, the overall intensity, and the overall just feel of it. It just feels right for black metal and just hits me in that sweet spot that I love. And it's nothing really inventive or reinventing the wheel in any way. It's just straightforward, intense, and just incredible black metal, done right, done proper. What more can I say? Fucking incredible stuff. Make sure you check out these guys. They are quintessential, if you ask me. Anyway, coming in at number 3, we're on to the top 3 now. I hope you are still with us and counting it down, so here we go. Coming in at number 3, we have Body Snatcher with Bleed Abide. Yeah, Body Snatcher is my, sorry, not album of the year, is my band of the year. The reason I say that is because I waited so long to see them live, and I got to see them with Bound in Fear, Arcranius, Body Snatcher, and Ingested at the start of the year, and it was absolutely incredible. I moshed so fucking ignorantly to them, I'm not gonna lie. And then they brought out this album, I believe, around that time, and I fell in love with it. And then towards the end of the year, in December, I got to see them with the Convalescence, Varials, Chelsea Grin, and Carnifex. They absolutely incredible. They blew my face off. They were the highlight of that gig for there. And then coming back to this album throughout the year and listening to it, it highlighted so much why I absolutely love this band. And to see them again, I just highlighted, yeah, they are my favourite band of the year. And this record is a perfect representation of Body Snatcher. Aggressive, just angry, pissed off music that just dominates, man. This dominated in 2022, if you ask me, and quite rightly so. It is an absolute masterpiece, and I cannot wait to see them again next year if they come back. They should come back because they are absolutely killing it at the moment. Coming in at number 2, we have The Last 10 Seconds of Life with Self-Titled. Now, this album, I'm not going to lie, when I first heard it, I was like, it's good. It's alright. It's nothing too memorable, really. And I listened to it a couple more times after that, and I was like, I still feel the same way. I don't know if it's like my speakers or something like that. It just doesn't feel as heavy or just chunky as I want it to be. And then there was one day, I just left it for a couple of days, maybe even a week or so, and I was like, I'm going to give it another opportunity. And I listened to it in the car, going somewhere, and I was like, there it is. There's the heaviness I was after. And then I kept on coming back to it over and over and over again, until eventually I was just like, yeah, this is a fucking masterpiece of a record. Like, this is the album, the Last 10 Seconds of Life album. Self-titled albums, as far as I'm concerned, have to represent the band, if you ask me, and their sound. And this is the perfect representation of the Last 10 Seconds of Life. It's another album, kind of like a few that I've talked about today. It's nothing flash, it's nothing shreddy or technical. It is just there for pure heaviness and just grit and just chunk. And that, just all about that. And this album is that album. I can't get enough of this album. I listened to it so fucking much this year. Like, even at the start, like I said, it wasn't really a feeler for me. And then it just grew into becoming one of my favourite albums of the year. I absolutely love this record. I love everything the Last 10 Seconds of Life have done. Even their new EP that they brought out this year with a new lineup. They're going for a more, they're going for a different sort of feel to it. I can see that. But it still sounds like the Last 10 Seconds of Life. But you're going up against a self-titled album that is one of my favourite records of the year. So it's obviously not going to hold as much of a candlelight. But it's still incredible. But this album, oh, it's just so fucking good. Check it out if you haven't already. Incredible, incredible stuff. And then we get to the top album of 2022. And honestly, this might not surprise you, especially if you've been sticking out. You'll be like, where's that album? Where's that specific album? And it won't surprise you in the slightest that this is my album of the year. But before I get into it, we have a first on this channel. A band, or maybe even two first. We've got a band that's had an album of the year twice, but also consecutive. So their last album was my album of the year, and then their second album, sorry, their last album was my album of the year, but their new album is also my album of the year. You won't be surprised who it is, but you know straight away that it is an absolute masterpiece. And I'm talking about Malevolence with Malicious Intent. This is my album of the year for 2022. A lot of characteristics combine to make this my album of the year. Number one, and first and foremost, the album is fucking incredible. A 10 out of 10 record from beginning to end. It's a perfect follow-up to Self-Supremacy. But also, I really want to say, it's another band that I saw live in 2022. They were playing Bloodstock the same day that my band, Casting Tephra, was playing. So we were on about midday. And then these guys were headlining the Sophie stage on the Saturday night. And honestly, being at the side of the stage, watching their performance, and then coming back and listening to this album even more so than I already did, just highlighted, like, yeah, this has to be my album of the year. Like, this record is, it's a metalhead's record. That's the best way I can describe it. It's got all the elements. It's got hardcore, metalcore, groove metal, sludge. It's got a bit of alternative vibes in there, but it has it all, man. There is nothing that anyone can't like about this record. Like, even Self-Supremacy, like, I can say that there's some elements that, yeah, people might not vibe to, because it is more hardcore, a little bit beatdown driven, whereas this one definitely has a bit more of a more likable factor to it to a lot of people. But to me anyway, it is just a perfect continuation of Self-Supremacy. Self-Supremacy being my favourite album of all times, that is high praise that this album is just as good, in my opinion. It's just an absolute masterpiece. Every track on here is incredible. But I'll have to say my favourite song on this album would have to be Higher Place. Like, the acoustic version is something else, like, in itself. But the proper version on this album just hits you in a real feels, man. Like, and there's no doubt that this was going to be my album of the year, like, coming back from Bloodstock. So, yeah, my album of the year has to go to Malevolence with Malicious Intent. It's fucking incredible. It's a 10 out of 10 record, and this band is going to become one of the biggest bands in the world, guaranteed. And if you don't agree with us, you're fucking wrong. But yeah, that is my top albums of the year. So I hope you have had an amazing year and an amazing Christmas. And when this video goes up, it'll be after New Year. But I hope 2023 is just as amazing for you guys as I hope it is for myself. I've got my own New Year's resolutions, my personal endeavours that I want to better myself with. So yeah, and YouTube is definitely in that, because I want to push this channel to another level, but still keep it in a strong mindset with myself. So yeah, make sure to subscribe, make sure you check out my Super Metal Riffs for Days playlist on Spotify, which is linked down below. And yeah, let us know in the comments what your top albums or releases or singles, whatever, are in the comments below. And I'll see you until next video, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.